Alrighty, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This is our third week with our Ohio Business Matchmaker prep webinar series. I'm Joey Scott. I'm the statewide director for the Ohio Apex Accelerator, and this webinar series is brought to you through our wonderful collaboration with a multitude of partners, including the Small Business Development Center, Small Business Administration, Minority Business Development Division, and other partners within the Department of Development here in Ohio. I'll get some of the housekeeping out of the way before I turn it over to my colleagues to get this started. So please put any questions that you may have throughout this session in the chat or the Q&A feature. We'll try to save them until the end of each section, but any pertinent questions we'll address right when we can. Today's session is being recorded, as are all of the prep webinars, and you can find the recordings once they've been processed on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website. And so I'll put the link to that in the chat, but we have the last 2 weeks already on there, and then just give us 48 hours or so to get today's webinars on there as well. And then slides will be made available as we're able to as well. One last housekeeping bit of information. Early bird registration for our small business suppliers ends Friday. This Friday. So if you've not registered for the Ohio Business Matchmaker and you intend to do so, please take note of that. Early bird registration ends this Friday. So more information can be found on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website. With all the housekeeping out of the way, I'll turn it over to the wonderful Jill Nagy-Reynolds to welcome everybody and introduce today's session. Jill, all yours.
Thank you so much, Joey. And as always, I appreciate the collaboration that the SBA Columbus District Office has with the Ohio Department of Development in organizing the webinar trainings and getting the Ohio Business Matchmaker launched and active. This is our 17th year for the Matchmaker, so we're very excited. As Joey mentioned, the last day for early bird is this Friday. So it's a significant discount in price if you can register for the event before that. So today's session focuses on certifications. So this is the third week of our webinar training series, and a lot of you have had questions throughout the first 4 trainings that we've done about different certifications. So today we are going to focus on both state of Ohio certifications and federal certifications. So we're going to talk about, is certification right for you? What type of certifications are there and how should they be utilized? So my colleague at the state of Ohio that is going to present on state of Ohio certifications. I'm very happy to be co-presenting with her today. Her name is Valerie Williams, and she is the Deputy Chief of the Office of Supplier Engagement with the Ohio Department of Development Minority Business Division. So Valerie, I'll be monitoring the chat throughout, and if I see a question come through, I will go ahead and ask it if that is okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you. I'm going to turn my camera off, but I'll be right here and get through the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining on today. As she mentioned, my name is Valerie Williams. I am Deputy Chief of Supplier Engagement for the Minority Business Development Division. My team includes our Office of Certification and our Office of Supplier Development. And so I'm going to do just a high-level brief overview of our state certifications and the programs that we have. If you can do me a favor, I need you to write down minority.ohio.gov. That is going to be a very important website for you to be able to access all of the information that I am going to be covering on today. It's a quick way for you to go back and bookmark that page so that as I am presenting, again, I want you to make sure that you bookmark that page because more specific details about all of these programs are available online. And so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to be covering 4 of our certifications on today: the Minority Business Enterprise, the Encouraging Diversity, Growth, and Equity, the WBE Women Business Enterprise, and the Veteran Friendly Business Enterprise on today. And so I just kind of want to talk about our certifications. The state of Ohio offers 4 different programs that are available, and I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about all 4 of those. We're going to begin with our Veteran Friendly Business Enterprise, VFBE. This is a state of Ohio program that establishes procedures for applying preferences based upon proposals for bids for veteran and veteran-owned businesses. This is an ethnic and gender-neutral program that provides a preference in terms of the scoring. And so how this works is that the business owner needs to be 51% owned by a veteran or an active duty military personnel, or you hire 10% of your workforce to be veteran and active duty members, or a percentage of your board. And so this program is available for anyone that is interested in either growing and scaling and want to hire veterans to do the work to help you support your business, or if you are a veteran yourself. A little bit of information about this program. Again, it allows for the business to be able to compete for opportunities with the state of Ohio. There is not a scoring preference per se, but you will receive a 5% difference. So if your bid is 1 million, your bid could be 5% higher or lower than the lowest bid. And the state of Ohio procures based upon low bid, best value. And so if you are competing with other individuals that are non-certified veteran-owned businesses, your bid can still be considered for award if it is 5% above or below the lowest bidder. One of the things I want you to take a screenshot of, but we'll also provide in the PowerPoint, is the phone number for Wayne McCulty, who is over at our Department of Administrative Services. His contact information is there. And David Walker, who is over at ODOT. They specifically are subject matter experts on how that contracting piece and award piece is done. And so if you have further questions about the contracting aspect and how that award is done, I want you to talk to the subject matter experts on that. They will be able to talk you through the requirements and how they determine the eligibility. And again, these are on proposals for bids, requests for bids, and invitations for bids. Next, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the Minority Business Enterprise Program. The state of Ohio is required to have 15% MBE participation on contracts that are awarded to MBE certified suppliers in Ohio. So you must have an Ohio MBE, not a local municipality MBE, but an Ohio MBE from the state. It requires all agencies, boards, and commissions to meet their 15% set aside goal, which means that those contracting opportunities from their operational budget must hit that 15% as the floor and not the ceiling. This MBE program is ethnic and race based. It is designated to help minority businesses in obtaining government contracting opportunities on goods and services. And again, we make sure that we try to work with our suppliers. If you are certified on the local level, say the city of Cleveland or the city of Cincinnati or Columbus, you are eligible to cross certify into the MBE program. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But we want to make sure that we're helping not only our agency procurement officers who are putting those bids out with providing them lists of suppliers that are eligible to meet that spend need, but we want to make sure that the state is meeting its requirements. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why that's important from an economic standpoint. So just so that you get a clear understanding, last year, fiscal year 2025, there was $1.8 billion worth of spend that the state of Ohio put out on the street. Of that spend, $310 million and $13 million were set aside and participation spend. So the state was able to exceed the 15% requirement on the services that were actually bid out and awarded, resulting in that 16.86% spend number. Again, 310 million is a great amount of money that goes to our small businesses, our minority businesses, and then the 13 million in participation was a phenomenal number to reach. We want to make sure that we are always exceeding that 15%, but it is important that if you want to get access to these opportunities and you are eligible for the MBE certification, that you go ahead and become MBE certified with the state of Ohio. I next want to talk a little bit about encouraging diversity, growth, and equity. This is our EDGE program. This is the third program that we offer at the state. Again, this one is ethnic and gender neutral, and it is designated to meet or assist those with social and economic disadvantages. That gives you an opportunity to bid, and it covers all gambits of our procurement aspect. It's going to cover construction, architectural, engineering, professional services, goods and services, and the IT space. And so if there is a 5% requirement for all agencies, boards, and commissions, but we also include some state universities when awarding these contracts to EDGE certified suppliers. And that is important to know because it has a very high economic value. Although it's not as high as the MBE set aside, the 5% still was determined based upon a $4.6 billion worth of awarded spend. 233 million went to EDGE certified suppliers. And so as you can see, it's a small sliver of the pie, but it is still having a financial impact on those that are applying in that space. And so we want to make sure that if you are eligible for that EDGE program, that you apply for it so that you can be eligible to compete for those contracting opportunities. Next, I'm going to talk about one of the newest programs that we offer, and that is the WBE program, the Women Business Enterprise Program. It was enacted in October of 2020, and it provides certified companies that are women owned the opportunity to bid for contracting opportunities. Now, we do not have a set aside for that, and we do not have a goal for it, but it does allow you to have a reciprocal process in terms of other states that have programs. So if you are state of Ohio certified and you want to do business with the surrounding state that does have a WBE program, having our eligibility, having our certification here will allow you to cross certify into the areas of state business with other states that are doing this. We are currently working on some of the contracts to extend them for these opportunities. So we will have more information on that posted on our website on the WBE page soon as they are finalized. But just want to let you know there are benefits for why you would want to have that WBE certification. And so let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about some of the program benefits and why it is important for you to get certified. So first off, it's the contracting assistance. We can help you with getting contracting opportunities that are set aside and or subcontracting. Like I said, the state of Ohio has the 15% MBE and the 5% EDGE goal, but we can help you with programs like the Apex Accelerator program. If you want to learn how to be competitive on the local, state, and federal level, Apex is able to help you with that. We also have our minority business assistance centers. Some of them have an Office of Supplier Development embedded within it, and they can help you identify opportunities that you can go after. My department also shares upcoming opportunities that are hitting the street from Ohio Buys or from Bid Express if you are going through OFCC on the construction side. But we want to make sure that you know that these are available. In addition to that, we have all of our certified suppliers listed on our certification database that is accessible statewide by any public or private sector employee or company that is looking to hire diverse participation. But one of the things I want to impress upon you is that you do business as well. You purchase goods and services, you purchase professional services and IT and the whole thing. And so we want to make sure that you also know that you have access to pulling up certified suppliers to meet your needs at your company. And so as you're doing some business to business with them, just know that once you're certified, we're not only sharing it with our internal stakeholders, we're sharing it within the ecosystem, and we want you to share between one another and do business with each other as you become certified. And so
Valerie, we
again,
have a question.
absolutely.
Okay, it's an ownership question. So Stephanie says our company has four shareholders, two silent partners holding 20%, and two women owners holding 60%, one of whom is Hispanic. Given that only 30% is minority owned, would we qualify for MBE or
So
WBE?
yes. So what I want to do is address that a little bit later on. If you could table
Okay.
that question,
Mm-hmm.
because I am going to go into some eligibility requirements. And we may need to have a sidebar conversation specifically because I can't see what the breakdown is and what your documentation says. So we may be able to have a sidebar conversation afterward. But
Very
I will
good.
get to that. Okay. Are there any questions regarding the information that I've covered so far?
That's the only question so far.
Okay. Thank you. All righty. And so the next, oh, I'm sorry, let me go back. And again, if you have questions and you would like us to help you with that, we do have some bidders and suppliers resources that are on the supplier development page. So as you go to minority.ohio.gov, if you click on the tile that says supplier development, there will be a link to the bidders and suppliers page, which will tell you how the state of Ohio procures, all of the details about what we procure for and how you can go about getting access to training and information and materials. So we want to make sure that you know that that site is available. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the financial assistance programs that we have. Now, I am not the money woman. I am not the financial guru for our loan programs. We do have a team that is available to support you in that. And so as you go to minority.ohio.gov, you can click on that Department for Financial Incentive Programs. But in addition to that, we have minority business assistance centers with financial advisors that are set up to help you understand how to navigate through our loan process. The state of Ohio has a variety of loan and financial incentive programs to help your business to grow and to scale. And so we want to make sure that you know that having a certification in some of those capacities could be the difference between paying 0%, 1.5%, or 3% interest on our loan programs. In addition to that, we have non-government opportunities. And as I said, we partner with a lot of corporations. We partner with a lot of businesses that are looking to do business with our certified suppliers. And again, you have the ability to be able to do business with your peers or counterparts that are in the state of Ohio. And so having certification gives you the ability to have access and visibility to these companies as we are out at events. If it's something that the state does not procure for, we are always trying to find alternative places that we can send you or additional resources to help your business to grow and to scale. But again, it all starts with becoming certified. So whether that's in the public or the private sector, we just want to make sure that you know that we share our partner agency opportunities through our distribution list. We share opportunities that the state has with our impact centers so that they can get it out into the region. And if there are opportunities that are coming down the pike, I sit in once a week on a methodology call where we're discussing contracts that are getting ready to hit the street, contracts that'll soon be expiring. And if there is an underserved or underrepresented area of certification within the state, I can then say, hey, we don't have anybody right now, but that contract is going to be ending in 2 years and coming up for renewal. Now I can reach out to my MBAC, see if there's someone certified on the local level to try to cross certify them into the state so that they will be eligible to bid on those opportunities in the future. So again, we want to make sure that even if it is a non-government opportunity, that we are sharing them with our certified suppliers and sharing them within the ecosystem. So let's get a little bit into some of the program criteria, what I would need to be eligible for certification. And again, this is going to be just a high level overview. I highly recommend utilizing the services of our Minority Business Assistance Centers. You keep hearing me say the MBAC. They are designated across the state to be able to support you in this capacity. They take the stress and the hassle out of certification. They will dot the I's, cross the T's, help you develop or support you with developing the documentation that is required, and they can help submit your application on your behalf. But let's go through just a few of the program criterias. Number one for the veteran friendly business enterprise. And my apologies, the sun is beaming right in on my face. You must be at least 51% of the business owner as a veteran or active duty service member. You can be, and you only need one of these four. You can be certified with the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs as a service disabled veteran small business or a veteran small business owner. You can have at least 51% of your board of directors be veterans or on active duty, or you can have at least 10% of your businesses employees be veteran or active duty members. This is really a monumental program because if you are a veteran or a disabled veteran, you can come in and get certified as a VFBE and be able to take advantage of that 5% above and below as you are bidding on state contracts. But in addition to that, there is something quite rewarding about being able to offer employment to those who have served our nation, those who have sacrificed and are still sacrificing by hiring them to be a part of your workforce. And so it's really important that we support our veterans. Wish we had a program that gave them a different type of preference in terms of spend, but who knows, that may change in the future. But as of right now, we definitely encourage you to be a part of the veteran program if you're eligible for it. And so let's just talk a little bit about the general program eligibility for MBE Edge and WBE. Of course, these programs are designated for Ohio residents. Your business must be an Ohio-based business and you must be a resident of the state. Your business must be for profit and be in business for at least 1 year. Oftentimes we'll get individuals that say, I'm registered with the Secretary of State. Being registered is one thing, but actually doing business is another. And so as we evaluate your eligibility, we're going to be looking not only to see that you have your Secretary of State, but also to dot the I's and cross the T's across the board for the eligibility requirements. You must be able to completely articulate a knowledge of your business and the industry and how you run your business. I can say that I'm a caterer, but if I have other people doing the food for me, am I really catering the food myself? So, again, that's just an example, but we want to make sure that you have a full grasp of your business industry and how your day to day operations go. And you must have control and demonstrate a capacity and an expertise in your field. So, those are some of the eligibility requirements. Specifically for the MBE, again, this is an ethnic and race based certification. Your business must be owned and controlled by a U.S. citizen who is an Ohio resident, and you must fall in one of the four categories that are listed below. You can be African American or Black, American Indian, Asian, or Hispanic or Latino. And so the descriptions are there. I'm not going to go specifically into details about those, but those are the requirements for the MBE eligibility. In terms of EDGE, your business must be owned and controlled by a U.S. citizen and Ohio resident that is both socially and economically disadvantaged. And oftentimes people get a little confused or they don't know how to articulate what that is. And so if you are socially disadvantaged, that means that you fall into a specific ethnicity or you are a female by gender, that you have some type of chronic physical or mental disability, or you fall within the HUBZone. And I believe that Jill is going to be talking a little bit about the HUBZone, so I will not steal that thunder, but we do allow for individuals to fall within that HUBZone, and they must employ 35% of their workforce from within that eligible HUBZone. From the economic disadvantage side, your personal net worth must be less than $2.47 million at the time of your application. You cannot exceed the U.S. Small Business Administration small business size standards, and you must have your codes based upon the NACS codes. It could be an average of your gross receipts or employees. So, one of the things I want to specify is that the EDGE certification is based upon the NACS codes. The state of Ohio uses the UNSPSC code on the MBE side of the house. So, those are two distinctions in terms of the codes that we use. But as we issue your certification, that information will be clearly identified on your certificate so that you know what categories you fall into. You must be able to demonstrate that you have receipts or contracts in those areas in order for us to certify you. In terms of the WBE eligibility, again, your company must be owned and controlled by a woman who is a U.S. citizen and you have established your residency in the state of Ohio. Again, I talked a little bit about the program that you can cross certify into other states. And as we begin to finalize those updated agreements, we will be posting them on the website. There are, again, some additional details that we can provide. We do have a cross certification with Ohio River Valley We Bank. So if you are WBE certified with them, we can cross certify you into the state's program. We are also working to update our memorandum of understanding with some of our local municipalities, and so that we can also include their WBE or female based business enterprise programs into the state's program. Excuse me for a moment, I need a sip of water. Let's go into detail about the certification process. We've kind of talked about the programs that we have. We talked about why you should be certified. We talked a little bit about some of the eligibility requirements, but let's go a little bit deeper into that process. And so there are two ways that you can work on getting your application submitted. They are all going to be submitted through the Business Gateway. You can work with our Minority Business Assistance Centers. They will again cross the I's, across the T's, dot the I's, help you gather all the documentation, and they can help you submit your application in the Gateway. That is done three ways. Whether you are brand new to certification, you will be completing the unified application. If you are certified with another agency or local municipality, you can cross certify into the state's program. Or if you are currently certified and you wish to renew your certification, you complete the recertification affidavit. And again, these are going to be submitted through the Ohio Business Gateway. You will need an Ohio ID. That is not a state ID, but it is your login ID in order to access that gateway. So let's talk about some of the overviews for certification. Again, we can support the application by working with our MBAC because they can provide you the assistance. They can make the process simple and painful, or you can self-submit. We're always going to review your application and all of the supporting document to make sure that it is complete before the audit process begins. And so as we go through and validate the information, we're going to make sure that we're looking at the documentation to see that you have ownership and control, regardless of any of the certifications you apply for. One of the things that we want to make sure you understand, again, you have to be a full-time Ohio resident. Your business must be for profit and in business at least 1 year, and not just registered with the Secretary of State, but truly doing the business that is required. And again, that you have a full understanding of how your business is supposed to operate. Some of the required documentation is going to include proof of U.S. citizenship, proof of Ohio residency. For the MBE program, we're going to ask for proof of ethnicity. We're going to ask for proof of social or economic disadvantage if you are applying for the EDGE program. We're going to ask for proof of gender if you're applying for the WBE. We're going to ask for proof of veteran status if you are applying for the veteran-friendly business enterprise. You may be required to provide a resume showing and outlining the type of work that you've done. We're going to ask for documentation of your financial viability. That could include cash flow, profit and loss statements, balance sheets, all of the things that show how your business is structured and set up from a financial aspect. And then we're going to look at your federal and state tax returns. Excuse me. again, with the certification process, we do have a few things that we offer. If you have bid on something or have been awarded a contract and need a certification right away, we do have a fast track process by working with our minority business assistance centers. And you can submit that application when you desire to submit a bid for a proposal, or you're being considered as a prime or a subcontractor that is requiring participation because there may be a goal associated or you've been awarded that contract. The other way is if you are applying to get some type of loan program from our Minority Business Development Division, and the financial application requires that. You'll find that on the WBE side of the house a lot. And so if there are loans that you're applying for, or if you're being considered for a contract, we can kind of fast track and work with you to expedite that time frame. Right now, it's taking us roughly about 30 days to process applications. Our team is doing a phenomenal job of making sure that those get done. And on average, our cross certifications take about 2 weeks. Again, for the cross certification process, these are just a few of the entities that we will cross certify you into our program. We are in the process of reviewing all of our memorandums of understanding with all of our local municipalities and those agencies that we support, so that we can make sure that we are extending the most opportunities for suppliers to be cross certified into the state's program. And so, if you ever need us, you can always send an email to certifications@development.ohio.gov. You can always call 614-466-8381. That is our main line. We have multiple staff that answer that call. You can always go to minority.ohio.gov, underneath different categories. For example, if you need help with supplier development, go to the supplier development page. There is a link where you can send in a request and we can follow up with you. I will give you my email. It's Valerie, VALARIE .Williams at development.ohio.gov. I will put that in the chat for you. And you can always reach out via email. We are more than happy to help you. Again, if you have very detailed and specific questions about your specific company and the breakdown, we'd like to have that conversation with you individually offline. But if there are any general questions, I am happy to answer those questions at this time.
All right, Valerie, I just put your email in the chat.
Thank you.
We do have a question that's not super specific. It's
Okay.
not too far into the weeds for a certification eligibility, but Renee would like to know, she's a minority, but her business partner is not. As a result, we've been unable to obtain MBE certifications because they have 50-50 ownership. We do not want to miss out on MBE opportunities. Is there any thought of changing the requirement of 51-49% ownership?
So one of the things that you have to understand is there's a difference between statute and policy. A policy is something that I'm able to change if it is a benefit to why we need to have that policy in place. If it is statute, that means it is voted on by the law. And because of the Ohio Revised Code, there are certain things that we are not eligible to change. That 51% ownership is a requirement because of state statute. So unfortunately, we can't. But if you would like to give us a call, you can work with our Minority Business Assistance Centers, or you can email me directly. I will schedule a one-on-one appointment with you and kind of talk to you about some options that you may have available. One of the things about our program is if you have 51% ownership, that's a great thing, then we could do that. But if it's a 50-50 split, unless both of you are minorities or both of you are women, if you're applying for the WBE, if both of you are women, that's one thing. If both of you are minorities, that's one thing. But having that 51% is the catalyst for that.
Thank you. We had someone ask, is it true the net worth does not include your main home and retirement? I think they might be speaking about the EDGE certification there.
Yeah, yes, and that information, we're following the same guidelines that ODOT has in terms of the 2.047 million. And so, yes, we don't take those into consideration.
Okay, is certification as a WBE Edge, is it reciprocal with ODOT? Do I need to apply for both?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was my bad. Is certification as a WBE Edge reciprocal with ODOT?
ODOT has DBE and ACDBE, and their program is a little bit different. You would have to go to ODOT's website because we don't cross certify into the DB. We don't have a DBE program and we don't have an ACDBE. ACDBE is Airport Concession Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And so ODOT is separate from what we do. We don't cross certify with ODOT.
All right, and someone asked, what was the website you shared at the very beginning? And Joey typed in minority.ohio.gov. That
Absolutely.
sounds right. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Does anyone else have questions for Valerie or certifications with the state of Ohio? I see one more came through in the Q&A. Let's
Okay.
see. Valerie, you mentioned sharing opportunities that may be set aside for these programs. How do we receive those?
So if you are certified with the state of Ohio, my team on the supplier development side, we send out solicitations on a regular basis. Tim Collins is my guru, he is my coordinator. And anytime we see items that are set aside, we will send them out to suppliers. But here's what I encourage you to do. If you go to the Ohio Buys website, it does not take long. You can do a public records, you can do a search of the internet, Ohio Buys, state of Ohio. It will give you the link to the Ohio Buys site. You can review any bid or solicitation that is available. You don't have to have a login for that. If you want to bid, you need to be able to have an Ohio ID to log in and create a profile. If you go to minority.ohio.gov, click on the tab for supplier development, the Office of Supplier Development. I have direct links to all of the resources that you would need to be able to see those MBE set aside or open market bids. We have access to the OFCC page where if you want to look on the construction side of things and see what's available. If you want, you can email me and I can schedule you a one-on-one and walk you through, or I can have Tim Collins walk you through the process if it's confusing. But that's what I recommend is that you go to the minority.ohio.gov page, click on supplier development, and links to all of those sites, Ohio Buys, Apex, you name it, we have that on our website for you.
Excellent. And last week we actually had James Yagadich present on
Yes.
Ohio Buys. So there is a recording of that webinar on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website. Just look, once you're on the homepage for the Ohio Business Matchmaker, click on webinars, and you'll see a recording of last week's session on doing business with the state. All right. I think that is all the questions that I see right now for
Great.
you.
Thank you so much for your time on today, and I am going to turn it back over to you.
Excellent job. Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure working with you.
You as well. Thank you.
All right, everybody. So you are stuck with me the second half of this presentation. So I am going to go ahead and hit share screen. And Joey, if you can monitor the chat for me during this, and then just like I don't mind being interrupted if there's a question that comes through. So hopefully you're familiar with my face by now, but if you haven't, if you're not really familiar with what I do, I work primarily with firms that are certified in the 8A business development program. That is a federal certification. And so all of us should be taking off our state of Ohio hats and putting on our federal government certification hat, because this is what this session mostly focuses on. And let's just go ahead and get started. There is no such thing as a bad question when you're dealing with the federal government. So I like to start with the basics. So when you were getting started in federal government contracting, one of the first things that you as a business may decide to do, or you have to do if you want to bid on federal contracts, is to create a profile or register in sam.gov. And sam.gov is the portal by which you can bid on federal contracts. It's a registration page. And as you begin your journey or continue your journey in government contracting, you're going to hear reference to sam.gov a lot. So from the federal government standpoint, um, small business size is a self-certification. I am going to go into more detail about this, but this is a brief agenda of what I'm going to talk about in my presentation. I have 43 slides, so it's not terrible. And I'm not going to read slide by slide because that's just going to kill us all. And we need to make it to lunch. So I'm going to talk about what it means by SBA size standard to be a small business, but also considerations when you're getting into federal government. Is your business procurement ready? Very, very important. And then I'll talk about within the small business world and federal government, what certifications are there? So the women-owned small business certification, 8A business development, veteran-owned small business, HUBZone, and then I'm going to talk about our new portal, which is my SBA certifications. It's currently giving me heartburn, but I am here to help as we all journey into this new portal. So without further ado, let's talk about what it means to be a small business. So I've been with the SBA a little over 14 years, and it always surprises me. Well, it doesn't surprise me anymore, but it is surprising when you first get into federal government to see how high the size standards are for small. So when I talk about size standard, Valerie was talking about, so when you register to do business with the state, you have to come up with industry codes that fit the type of business you have. The federal government has that too, and they're called NAICS codes. So just to give you a breakdown of what that acronym means, it's a North American Industry Classification System. So that's why we shorten it to NAICS. It's too much to say in one long string. So what NAICS codes are is they translate what your business does into government speak. So and you need to know what your your primary NAICS code is, especially when you first register your business in SAM. So each NAICS code, and there's about 1,000 of them, has a corresponding size standard. So SBA is responsible for managing the size standards. We have a whole regulation around it, and they're updated like every 5 years. So if you are a service-related industry, then it's based on your 5-year average gross receipts, not your net receipts, your gross receipts. I have calls at the district office on a regular basis where they'll say, "Oh, well, my business is divided into construction and IT and marketing. We're small under construction, but we're not small under marketing. So can I just count the construction side? No, it's your total receipts. It's got to be your total receipts. So and you can have more than one NAICS code. In fact, you probably will have more than one NAICS code, but you can only have one primary NAICS code. And your primary NAICS code is where the greatest the greatest percentage of your business is coming from. So there's a couple more slides to talk about this in more detail. But if you are a manufacturer, then your size is determined by the number of employees you have. And as Valerie mentioned, for the state certifications, for the purposes of small business certifications at the federal government, you have to be set up for profit. Nonprofits are not considered businesses and are not eligible for the small business certification programs. Your business has to be operating in the United States, and primary operations outside of the United States are considered a non-qualified business. So do you know what your NAICS codes are? Hopefully, I mean, as you've gotten farther into this webinar series, perhaps you've identified what your NAICS code is. And in fact, if you're filing taxes through an accountant, a lot of times the accountant has determined a NAICS code for your company because they have to when they're filing your taxes. But um, the SBA has, I can put a PDF file in the chat, or if you were interested to see what different NAICS codes there are, then just you can see which ones are a fit for you. SBA size standards use NAICS codes. Oops. For all of the federal government programs. And it's the U.S. Census Bureau that has a good link for you to research NAICS codes. And you can change, like you can update your SAM.gov registration whenever you need to add NAICS codes or remove NAICS codes. It's just for the federal certification programs, like especially 8A, you have to have one primary NAICS code. And again, that's where the majority of your income, your business income is coming from. So before you do this deep dive into, hey, I'm qualified for this certification, I want to apply for it, uh, I always recommend that you take a step back. Is your business procurement ready? Does the federal government buy what you sell? This is so important because just because you're qualified for certification doesn't mean that it's necessarily the right fit for your business because the government, while the federal government, while it buys massive amounts of goods and services, is it a fit? Does it buy what you sell directly, or would it make more sense for you to look for subcontracting opportunities? All of these things are what we call market research, like doing your due diligence and finding out if what if the government is a fit, and then part two to that, what level of government? So would the city be better, the state, the county, the municipality, or the federal government? Because that will help you determine, which certification you should be focusing on. Because I've met with businesses over the years where they have all of the certifications. They might have DBE with ODOT, they have EDGE, they have MBE, they have 8A, they have all of the things, but they don't have contracts because the certifications are a tool. That's all. They're great tools, but if you don't know how to find the opportunities, I like in the last session that there was a question, how do I find the opportunities? Well, that's half the battle is finding them, figuring out where the fit is. And your Apex accelerators are a great, great, great resource for that. And they're our partner on this on the Ohio Business Matchmaker. They're our partner all the time in everything we do at the SBA. So um, they're your partner too. Like you can set up a time to meet with an Apex accelerator counselor. They can sit down with you. They can tell you, hey, or you tell them, this is my business, and they will tell you, here's what we recommend in terms of developing a pipeline to find opportunities. Do you have federal contracting experience? You don't have to have federal contracting experience. Does it help? Absolutely. Is it a requirement? No. What is important? Do you have adequate working capital? Do you have adequate human resource capital? Because federal contracts are on average 5-year contracts, and they can be anywhere from through 500,000 to 100 million or more. So in order to support $100 million contract, you better have the working capital and the human resource capital to be able to support that contract. So those are some considerations, but you're in good hands by going through these webinar trainings, going to the matchmaker, meeting with your Apex accelerator. so that we can help you along the way. So this is a really old slide that shouldn't be here every time I see this, and actually we're going to skip it. So sam.gov, it doesn't look like this anymore. But actually, the interesting story around SAM.gov, for those of you that have been around long enough, you probably remember all of the old that we call them legacy systems like CCR and Orca and FedBizOps. Well, GSA, which is a separate, it's a federal agency, GSA, General Service Administration, consolidated all of these legacy portals into one, which is now sam.gov. And sam.gov is used for your registration. It's used for all contracting opportunities, special notices. It's the DeBard portal as well. So it's used all the time across the board in the federal government. So when I talk about market research, I really mean it. I meet with firms that are in the 8A program, and so while they have their certification, they're not really that much, most of them just are not well informed about how to find the right fit for their goods or services. So that's where conducting your own market research helps. And there are great ways, great publicly accessible websites. We actually did a training on it last week with the Ohio Apex Accelerator at Ohio University. And there's a recording again on the Ohio Business Matchmaker from last week where you could listen to that recording on just conducting market research. So also, are you prepared to finance a government contract? As I mentioned before, you have to have adequate cash flow. So if you don't have a relationship with a lender, you should probably have a relationship with a lender before you get into federal government contracting because you are preparing for your own success. So you want to have access to a line of credit if you need it. Do you have collateral to get a loan if you need it? So all of this information is preparation for your success. And it's definitely something that you need to plan for because the worst thing that can happen is you get a federal contract, which is great news, but then you can't perform on it. That's a major issue because all it takes is, you have that one shot of doing really well on a second contract that can lead to a third or a fourth or a fifth. But doing bad on a first contract will kind of end your road there because they do evaluate your performance. And as a contracting office, when I'm considering awarding a contract to a candidate, the first thing I'm going to look at is how have they performed on prior contracts. And if you did not perform well, your chances of getting a second contract are not wonderful. So these are all considerations, I think, before you really dive into getting a socioeconomic certification because it is a lot of work. But before I go into like the individual eligibility requirements for them, uh, the federal government's a little bit different in that 23% of all business is set aside for small business. So that is a law, and federal agencies are required to set aside 23% of the federal spend to small business. And then within that are the different socioeconomic categories. So there's 5% that has to go to woman-owned or economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. It's 5% for the 8A business development program, 3% for HUBZone, and 3% for service disabled veteran owned. And I'm going to go into each of these programs separately. And so, like the state of Ohio, as Valerie was talking about, like the MBE and EDGE certification, there is a requirement that to be eligible for these certifications, the the so for example, it would have to be 51% owned and controlled by U.S. citizens who are women or are socially and economically disadvantaged. HUBZone is a little bit different. I won't go into that yet. And then 51% for veteran owned. So it would take an act of Congress to change that requirement. So we're going to talk about women-owned first, and I think it's important because I saw the question come across for Valerie's presentation, like, is there reciprocity among, well, the question was state of Ohio and DBE. I will tell you for the purposes of federal contracts only, like there is not reciprocity between like the state of Ohio WBE and the federal WOSB. There is, however, with the Ohio River Valley We Bank, if and that is the WBE for commercial contractors like corporations. Like when you think of Procter and Gamble or Toyota, they take the WBE certification, and you can do like a cross certification with the Ohio River Valley We Bank for the WOSB, the federal WOSB. But this certification is for federal contracts only. Okay. So this program's a little bit different than the other socioeconomic programs in that only certain NAICS codes participate. And within those NAICS codes, some of them are designated as woman-owned small business, and some of them are designated as economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. So um, when the WAS, and I'm going to refer them because just like NAICS code, it's hard to say economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business over and over again. So um, when I say WASB, I'm referring to woman-owned small business, and EdWASB would be economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. So as I mentioned, it's NAICS code based. So some of them participate in WASB and some of them are in EdWASB. So the major difference between the two is to be qualified as an EdWASB, the business owner must also be economically disadvantaged. And how SBA reviews that is when a business applies for the EdWASB certification, they have to provide their financials to us. So is the WASB certification appropriate for your business? So in order to qualify for it, the business itself has to be 51% owned and controlled by a U.S. citizen who is a woman, or it can be a combination of ownership, but the total ownership has to exceed 51%. So if there are two woman business owners and they're both 50%, then it could qualify, the business could qualify for the woman-owned small business certification. The woman has to hold the highest officer position. It makes sense that you would be seeking federal contracts. Otherwise, why would you apply for it? The woman has to have managerial experience in the service or product that the business is offering. The woman has to be managing the daily operations. And there's no minimum time in business. Like some of the certifications do require minimum time in business, like the 8A program, but the woman-owned small business does not. So for the so there is a listing of NAICS codes, and I can put that in the chat too, that will show you which codes belong in WASB, which ones are EdWASB, and which ones don't participate at all. So for the EdWASB codes, and if you're going after the EdWASB certification, the personal net worth of the woman business owner has to be less than $850,000, and that is minus liabilities, and the liabilities include, so when SBA is doing their review, they will exempt business equity, primary residence, and retirement accounts. Okay. The 3-year average net income, I'm sorry, 3-year average income has to be $400,000 or less, and the fair market value of all assets is 6.5 million or less. So that 6.5 million asset rule. So why that's different than the personal net worth. So for that total asset, we do take into consideration the business equity, the primary residence equity, and the retirement account equity. So for when we're looking at NAICS codes and why there's a difference between WASB and EdWASB. So for the Women-Owned Small Business Program, women are considered as substantially underrepresented. So there just are not enough women that are participating in that particular industry. So as a result, women don't have to be economically disadvantaged. So for Ed Wasby, women are underrepresented, but not substantially underrepresented. So they don't, uh, uh, have to also be economically disadvantaged. So that's when SBA would be asking for the financial statements. And it's very important to note that if a woman-owned small business is qualified for Ed WASB, they are also automatically qualified for WASB because there's more eligibility requirements for the economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business certification. So this rule of two in here is we're getting into the weeds with contracting when we talk about that. So and this is the same for all of the certification programs. If two women were to respond to a small business set aside, for example, or a full and open competition set aside, a full and open competition requirement, then the contracting officer should make a consideration for woman-owned if there were two responsible offers. And also when we dive down into the sources sought or the request for information, cycle of federal acquisitions. Like if two or more women respond to a request for information or a sources sought notification, that contracting officer should then consider making it a woman-owned small business set aside because there are two that could at least compete on that contract. And the contract must be awarded at a fair market price. There are definitions of what fair and reasonable means in the FAR. So it has to meet the definitions of a fair and reasonable price in order for it to go out as a woman-owned or woman-owned, economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business set aside. I don't see any questions for the woman-owned small business program yet, but if you think of something, you can definitely put it into the chat. But again, the woman-owned small business certification, there is a 5% set aside, and it is just for federal contracts at the SBA certification level. I'm going to talk briefly now about the 8A Business Development Program. There's a lot of changes happening with this program right now. The slides that I go over are accurate as of today. And the program is still open. It's still active. There have been it's just in fiscal year 25, there were a lot fewer companies that were certified in the 8A program than usual. While you may be qualified for it, and if you apply for it, it can take the processing times are longer than usual. So what is the 8A program? So it's only SBA's only business development program. It's focused on business development. And the goal of the 8A program is to have companies that participate in this program for a set period of time, and then after they have participated in it, then their capacity to be able to support small business set aside contracts would be greatly increased because they were able to grow within that 9 years of 8A certification. So it is the only certification that has a finite period of time of participation. So it's 9 years. And it might seem like a long time, but it really is not. And I always recommend to firms that are qualified for 8A and want to apply for it to definitely give it some time before you apply. Really understand your market first.
You know, We did get a
Yes,
question going back to the woman-owned certification. You
sure.
mentioned reciprocity with the Ohio River Valley Bank. Do you have a website for that?
Well, just WeBank. I know that WeBank, if I will, it's the Ohio, that's the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, WBENC.org. And when you apply for WBE certification, and that is at a cost. I want everyone to know that. Like it costs I can't remember how much it costs to submit your application, then it costs a certain amount to maintain it. But as they process for WBE certification, they were including the WOSB certification as well. But if WOSB is more of a fit for you, you can apply through SBA's My SBA certification portal at no cost. So if you're thinking, okay, I want to do business with Fortune 500 companies, but also the federal government, it might be a fit for you to go and look at WeBank's process. But if you're just looking for federal government, you can apply to SBA directly at no cost.
Thank you, Jill. And Valerie was able to provide the links, so we got
Okay,
those
thank you.
in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. So for 8A, again, I'm going to say it's still an active program, but there are some changes that it's going through this year. So it is taking longer for companies to get certified. But what makes 8A different is actually when you get into the program, you're assigned to somebody like me. There are 300 of us or more around the country. And what we do is provide business development assistance to 8A certified companies. We work with federal agencies a lot to help them understand what 8A regulations look like and how they can work with the program. But we also try and help 8A businesses be more competitive in the federal marketplace. So, and part of how we do that actually is partnering with Apex Accelerators, and we offer that type of training to everyone because I think it's uh, for any small business really diving into federal government contracting, it's not easy. We do trainings often with Apex Accelerator. We do one-on-one trainings with our 8A firms. And part of what once a business is certified in the 8A program, one of the first things they have to do is create a business plan. And that business plan helps to keep the firm on target from year to year while in the program, but also helps me, like as a business opportunity specialist, to be able to provide assistance to that business. So I know, I can tell what the goals of the business are, government contracting goals, market research strategies. We go into all of that, financial projections. But I also work to uh, uh, get the 8A firms and try in front of small business professionals within federal agencies. So there's a lot of business development assistance within this program that you don't have with the woman-owned small business or HUBZone or service-disabled veteran-owned programs. But you really need to be strategic about when you decide to apply for 8A because just because you have an 8A certification doesn't mean you're going to immediately get a contract. And there is that thought around, especially the 8A program, is like once you have 8A, then you're just going to have one government contract after another, and that just doesn't happen to be the case. And uh, uh, also with 8A, there is a time limit. So the first 4 years a company is in the 8A program, they can have up to 100% of their revenues from 8A contracts, but in years 5 through 9, the regulations for 8A start weaning you off of your reliance on 8A. So like in year 5, you can't have any more than 85% of your total revenues from 8A. Then it goes to 75% in year 6, 65 in year 7, and then 55% in year 8, so that um, you have to maintain a balance of 8A work and non-8A. And so non-8A can mean anything other than 8A. I mean, you can have other federal work, you can have other certifications that you are qualified for. Like if it's a woman-owned small business set aside, that's not 8A. We don't care. If it's a subcontract, it doesn't matter. So that's something as a BOS, a business opportunity specialist, that I monitor throughout your time in the program. So what's your potential for success? So when you are initially applying for 8A, we want you to have been in business for 2 years. So there is a waiver that you can do when you're applying for that. But really, if you haven't been in business for 2 years, um, it's going to be difficult to get 8A contracts like out of the gate, or federal contracts, because do you have the capacity? Again, do you have the capacity to support federal contracts? So to qualify for 8A, I'll go into some of the eligibility requirements. But there is a consideration in addition to being ready. You have to understand that the 8A program is a one-time only. So what that means is, so like the other programs, the business owner must be socially and 51% controlled by a U.S. citizen. I'm sorry, owned and controlled by a U.S. citizen who is socially and economically disadvantaged. And I see some questions going through the chat. Okay. So they
You go through the 8A stuff right now, and then we'll take the 8A questions
Okay, gotcha. I just
because
kept
you
seeing
might
the,
address some of them.
okay, cool. Thank you. Um, I just want to tell everybody a story, because I learn a lot from stories, right? So I had a firm that got certified in the 8A program, and your time in the 8A program starts on the date of certification. And for companies that are located in Ohio, the applications are processed in San Francisco. And sometimes it takes us a couple of days between the firm being certified in San Francisco to the file being transferred over to the district office where the firm is geographically located. So in this case, like there was a 2-day window between the firm getting certified and being transferred over to the Columbus district. And when I reached out to the owner that it was newly certified, they said, "Oh, it took so long for me to be certified that I transferred ownership of my business to another person who is also socially and economically disadvantaged." Well, they were automatically kicked out because your eligibility is based on the initial business owner that applied, and they thought it took so long, and they sold their shares. And how that hurt them is that the business owner upon whom eligibility was based could not apply for 8A again, even if they set up another business and they're like, "Hey, I'm still socially and economically disadvantaged. I'll just use that again and apply for 8A through my new business." You can't do that. And the second part was the business couldn't apply for 8A again. So the business can only participate once. Even if the business owners sell that business to someone else who is socially and economically disadvantaged, because it participated in the 8A program in the past, it is not eligible to do it again. So you have to be very careful about when you decide to apply, and you have to make the most out of it while you're in it. Back again to, are your procurement ready? Does your business have sufficient cash flow to support federal contracts? Do you have past performance? That's always, of course, federal agencies don't want to be your first customer, so it's not a requirement, but it's heavily encouraged. And I love this. Are you open to advice on growing your business? And are you open to giving advice once you've had the chance to really grow in federal government. Some of our best advocates are businesses that have been doing business with the federal government and want to give back and teach the next generation. So and we have events throughout the year with successful federal contractors, and we hope that you meet with them because they're so much better at being able to provide information to small business than someone like me. Like I know the regulations. I'm in government. I can tell you the eligibility requirements, but I'm not a boots on the ground. You really learn an awful lot by your peers in the small business community. So to be eligible for 8A, your business must be small. The business must be 51% owned and controlled by a U.S. citizen who is both socially and economically disadvantaged. That owner must control the day-to-day operations and possess good character. Good character means that you do have to complete a what is it called? Since we went, everything's online now. It's a statement of personal history where you have to let us know if you have any felonies or misdemeanors. So you do have to complete that when you are applying for 8A. So this is the potential for success rule. So the potential for success, you have to be 2 years in business. The waiver for this, it would only be approved if the company has sufficient business management experience, technical expertise, adequate capital, successful past performance, and the ability to meet procurement requirements. And you got to meet all 5 of those. And again, I don't recommend like diving into 8A. Like if you're just starting your business, you should probably wait for 8A. So the economic disadvantage component for eligibility is the same as the economic disadvantage women-owned small business. Is $850,000 or less in your personal net worth, excluding your primary residence, your uh, uh, business equity and your retirement account. Your 3-year average income has to be 400,000 or less, and the fair market value of all assets is 6.5 million or less. Um, as I mentioned before, there's 2 stages. I'm glad I have a slide on this. So 2 stages to your 8A certification. The first 4 years, you're in the developmental stage. So what that means is that up to 100% of your revenues can come from 8A contracts. And I've seen that before. Like I've seen companies, especially if your revenues are, if you're a very small business, say your revenues are around 100,000 to 500,000 a year. If you get an 8A contract that's a $2 million contract, all of a sudden, like when the income starts coming in from that 8A contract, and also if you don't have a lot of employees because you're a small business, then you're having to go in multiple different directions because you're trying to support the contracts you have, grow within the contract you just got. But then you also have to do business development to get additional work. So I've seen businesses that may get their first contract, 8A contract, in year 3 or year 4, and immediately their revenues are more reliant on 8A because of the size of the contract. So you want to make sure that you're maintaining 8A and non-8A. Because once you hit year 5, then you're restricted. Like if so, for example, in year 5, you can't have any more than 85% of your total revenues from 8A, and if you're like at 95% 8A, you can be put on sole source prohibition, meaning you're not eligible for sole source contracts anymore until you can bring that down. And I didn't talk about like within the 8A program, there's sole source contracts and there are 8A competitive contracts. So 8A sole source contracts are contracts whose values for services are $4.5 million, or I'm sorry, it just went up to 5.5. $5.5 million or below for services, or 8.5 for manufacturing. And I'll talk more. Okay, and actually, here's the slide for it. So, a sole source contract, that means that so when you're in the 8A program, a contracting officer can say, oh, wow, this business marketed themselves to me. I have their capability statement. I feel that they are a good candidate for this contract. The contract value is 3 million, which means that I can award this to this company because they are in the 8A program. They can do that. But it's through your efforts in marketing yourself to those agencies that they know you're there. Like SBA implements and governs the 8A program. We don't have access to contracts for you. That's within the buying agencies. So it's your ability to market yourself that would give you a competitive advantage, make yourself known as you can. And within the regulations for the 8A program, it allows for contracting officers to award sole source contracts without justification. So it's the only socioeconomic program that allows for that. So what that justification and approval is a contracting action. So contracting officers have to justify why awarding a sole source contract to one technically capable company makes sense over another equally technically capable company. And it's really hard to do that. So the woman-owned small business, HUBZone, and service disabled veteran owned also have sole source authority, but it's with justification and approval. 8A is the only one without that. So I don't mean to put you too far in the weeds, but everyone, it's realistic, and you should know the difference between them. So as of today, 8A still has the ability for sole source without justification and approval. Okay. Um, and again, the whole purpose of it is a business development program for the businesses participating in 8A to build capacity and grow. And hopefully by the time of graduation, then they will be able to bid on small business set-aside contracts and be competitive. All right, I can take any 8A questions that you have now.
So, first question is there a potential benefit of an 8A partnering as a subcontractor with a large business on a federal contract?
Yes, I think so. And this is more through working with 8A companies. Like in federal contracting, if the total estimated price of the contract is above, I think 550,000, then there has to be like a small business plan. So for example, if a large business gets a full and open competition contract, then they have to have a small business plan of how they have to comply with the same set aside rules that the federal government does. So they have to have 5% 8A participation, 5% woman owned, 3% HUBZone, and 3% SDVOSB. So yes, your certification can be beneficial in subcontracting opportunities. And what's even better is we don't count that. Like if you get a subcontracting opportunity because you're 8A, that's non-8A revenue because you are subbing to a prime. So that does not count towards your 8A versus non-8A revenues.
So, thank you. And then the other question that we have right now, not specific to 8A, and I don't know if you're able to speak to this, Jill, or not, because it's a NAICS code specific question. So this individual is a freelance writer, primarily working for a marketing agency, and they are asking which NAICS code makes more sense for them. And they give two different NAICS codes, one for independent artists, writers, and performers versus marketing consulting services.
Yeah, that would be like that's a tough one. So it's wherever the majority of your income is coming from right now, would be your primary. But when you set up your SAM.gov registration, like I would use both codes, because you don't want to limit yourself, especially when you're conducting market research. So what you do could, so you have to think of like the federal government. We look at it as, this giant behemoth, uh, institution, but just know there's human beings behind all of it. And like all the federal agencies have buying offices or contracting offices, and contracting officers might define a freelance writer differently than if they're at the Air Force, they might define it differently than if they're at National Institute of Health. So I would see like the 541611 might be a good one. And that was like a administrative service. I'm not sure. That's like a professional services, but your Apex Accelerator can help you with that. Um, it's a journey. So I recommend like putting them both in, but look at your most recent tax return and see if your accountant assigned it something. And sometimes it's right and sometimes it isn't. Like when Idle was at its height, with at the beginning of COVID, and SBA had the Idle loans for COVID, like this the amount of businesses that had NAICS codes they didn't even know about. So it's worth looking at your tax return to see if you have one.
Thank you for that, Jill. And I just add, something that you said there, looking at the contracts, doing a keyword search
Yes. Yep.
because, like Jill said, contract officers might use different NAICS codes than what you would think should be used. And so it's good to see what is used for the work that you're doing. And also, and I think Jill, you said this earlier, like you can be small under one NAICS code, but not small under another, depending on the different size standards. So, looking at all the applicable NAICS codes, certainly our Apex team can help with that. But very good advice. So thank you, Jill.
No, and that's I'm glad you brought that. It just made me think also like your competitors. So if you have freelance writing competitors that are doing federal contracts, like look them up. There's another great, again, if you weren't able to see the market research webinar from last week, definitely watch it because there's a great site called USA Spending. It's usaspending.gov, where if your competitors are doing federal government contracts, you can look them up by their business name, and then you can see where all the places they're getting contracts, what agencies are getting contracts in, what departments within agencies, what type of contract it is, what the value of the contract is. I mean, then you build your market research based on that. It really, I mean, while the government, like the federal government, is a beast, there's a lot of public accessible portals, websites where you can really become informed. And YouTube, oh my gosh, like there's so many people that now see, I can't promote one or another. I don't know the value of whomever is creating these, but you can learn a lot from YouTube videos too. Just take it with a grain of salt.
Always do your research. But yeah, so
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not seeing any other questions right now on 8A. So I think we're good
All
to
right, we're going to
move on.
dive in to our, no, we still have HUBZone after this one. How are we on time? Okay. Veteran owned, I'll go fast through this one. So same principle, 51% owned and controlled by U.S. citizens. In the case of the veteran owned small business program, you have to be a veteran, which you have to have your DD 214. But the purpose of the program is to allow our veteran businesses to qualify and compete for sole source and set aside opportunities, to build capacity and scale up, and to, just to have a little bit of a leg up. So there is a 3% set aside for, and I should note for service disabled veteran owned small businesses. So the veteran owned certification is a goal, and a service disabled veteran owned small business certification is a set aside. So there is a difference. So for the service disabled veteran owned small business, There is a certificate, but for both of them, your certification application goes through MySBA certifications. But for the SDVOSB, in addition to the DD 214, you would also need like a service connected letter from the VA or from the Franklin County Veterans Services. I think you can get started there too. Your Apex Accelerator is an excellent resource for helping you navigate what you need for that. And for all of the different applications, you can also contact me. So for the Vet Cert program, the business must be a small business according to their NAICS codes. 51% of the business has to be owned by one or more veterans. For the service disabled veteran-owned small business, as service disabled by the VA. Permanently disabled veterans may still qualify, or the appointed caregiver, if the appointed caregiver is providing assistance with the day-to-day operations. And there is a reciprocal certification between the veteran-owned small business and then the WASB and the 8A program. So there is that benefit. And in fiscal year 26, veteran certification is one of the top priorities of the SBA. This is an older slide, but there are currently 2 million veteran-owned small businesses in the U.S. And contributing significantly to the federal government marketplace. I'll go into the MySBA certifications portal to just talk about further how you can find out about the how to apply and just the eligibility requirements for it. I was rambling because I had a thought and it left my head. So now it's back. So I wanted to say, so at the VA, especially the Veterans Administration, they have preference for veteran owned. So they will go with veteran owned and service disabled veteran owned small businesses first. It's definitely worth researching opportunities within the VA if you are a business that is interested in federal government contracting. So, just like the other programs, it's just to facilitate business development and growth opportunities within that veteran-owned business. And I would say again, this holds true to all of the socioeconomic programs. They're designed to give small businesses an opportunity to have a little bit of a competitive advantage and hopefully grow in the meantime, so that you can hire more people and keep the economy going. Uh, and I'll take you to the MySBA certification site so you can see what it looks like after I finish up with HUBZone here. So HUBZone is much different than the other programs in terms of how a business would qualify for it. Okay, so HUBZone stands for Historically Underutilized Business Zone, and it was became a program in the 90s, and it was to stimulate capital investment within HUBZone areas. To allow those businesses opportunities, like set aside opportunities to help these HUBZone areas by getting government contracts and then reinvesting into that local area where the HUBZone is located. So it's probably, this is Jill's determination, not SBA's. It's probably the most problematic of our certifications, just because of the eligibility criteria. So we're not going to go. So what is a HUBZone? So it's a historically underutilized business zone. And as we talked before, it was created to increase employment opportunities within HUBZones, capital investment, and then also to increase the economy within those HUBZone areas. So for HUBZone, the business must be 51% owned and controlled by a U.S. citizen whose business is located in a hub zone. So your business has to be located in a hub zone. So that's and then in addition to that, 35% of your employees must reside in a hub zone. And that could be any hub zone in the country because there are hub zone areas throughout the United States. So you could have remote employees. Some of them could be in hub zones from other states or just other counties. It doesn't matter. Just say 35% of your employees must reside in a hub zone. You must be a small business by SBA size standard. There's no minimum time in business and there's no NAICS code requirements. So in order to participate in the HUBZone program, you have to be willing to subject your business to HUBZone site visits. I used to do them. Like I would just come to the location and make sure that the business was operating out of that location. You have to maintain your eligibility in HUBZone, and you have to maintain your small business size, and you have to recertify every 3 years. So I want to see if we have any. No, we really don't. Okay. So what has made HUBZone a little bit more difficult is that your principal office is determined, like the HUBZone program has a HUBZone map. And if you just go to sba.gov and type HUBZone into the search bar, you can find the link to the HUBZone map and you can plug your office address in. And it's very black and white. It'll say, yes, you're in a hub zone, or no, you're not in a hub zone. And you could be across the street from one, but if your business address is not in a hub zone, then you're not eligible to participate in the program. The maps are locked for every 5 years. So that is a step in the right direction for eligibility for HUBZone. I will tell you, it used to change multiple times a year, it seemed like, but now it's locked for 5 years at a time. You can plug your principal office address in there, find out right away, yes, I'm in a HUBZone, no, I'm not in a HUBZone. So that's one of the eligibility requirements. The other one then is, do you have 35% of your employees residing in a HUBZone? And for HUBZone purposes, an employee is anyone that works for you at least 40 hours a month, and they must be W-2 employees. So they did change the regulations a couple of years ago where you can attempt to maintain your HUBZone certification, meaning that if you lose an employee, one of those key 35%, SBA gives you a window of time to hire a new person to make sure that you're maintaining that 35%. So any of you that are interested in HUBZone, additional information for that, just let me know and I can send you the information for it. But you can find out more about it through the MySBA certifications portal. They actually have a Are You Qualified section where you can fill out like a questionnaire for each of the certifications and find out which one or which one of many are a fit for you. So I've talked a lot about my SBA certifications. So let's take a look at what the website looks like. So those of you familiar with the SBA know that all of these certifications that I just talked about had separate websites for applying. So what that meant to the business owner is if you were qualified for woman-owned and HUBZone, you would have to submit your tax returns to the SBA twice. Your operating agreement, all the supporting documentation you would have to do twice. Or if you were qualified for all four, you would have to do them 4 times. Now we have one portal, My SBA certifications. It launched in October of 24. And now it's for fiscal year 26, which started on October 1st. Now we're using it. So us in the field. So when it launched, it was just for new applicants, not for existing applicants. Now they have rolled it in for existing applicants, and the broader SBA family is using it as well. So all of the 8A firms that are currently in the program are now having to do their annual renewals inside of my SBA certifications. So we're all learning this together. But when you go to the portal, you can this is the questionnaire that I was talking about. When you find out which certification you're eligible for, and then you can apply for it through that portal. And the prepare your application, this shows you all of the supporting documentation that you'll need for certification. So for all of them, you're going to be required to have your federal tax returns for the last 3 years. If you're applying for one of the certifications that is for an economic disadvantage, you will have to provide your personal tax returns. For the 8A program, you will have to provide a statement of social disadvantage, which you would have to provide a narrative on lack of access to education, employment, and business history. But that prepared tells you all the things that you would need. And for HUBZone, if you hit launch, it'll go to the HUBZone map too. And you can look and see if your principal office is located in a HUBZone. So when it talks about, benefits of certification, I think I've talked about that enough where it's a tool. They are tools. They're not guarantees of contracts, but they are very beneficial to you if you know that the federal government is a fit for your business and you've done that market research and hey, uh, uh, National Institute of Health loves my product or service. They would love to do business with me. Let me get certified. Whichever one that you are qualified for. And if you're not qualified for any of them, it's still okay. Most definitely, because 23% of all business is set aside for small business. So with my SBA certifications, once you go on the site, if you find out, hey, I'm eligible for woman owned, I want to apply for that. You have to make sure you have an active SAM registration. That is really important. The systems talk to each other. So make sure your registration is active. So if you haven't been, say you have a SAM registration, but you haven't updated it in the last 2 years, it's gone inactive. So you'll have to go back in, reactivate it. It's not that hard because it saves all the information from your prior like the prior window of time that you went in and registered. You just have to update it. So, and then once you make sure you have your active SAM registration, then complete your application, whichever one it is. And then SBA will review all the documents that you submitted. And and then that's when it's in the screening process. They'll say, okay, really good. They have all the things. So once you have all of the documents, then it goes to an analyst review. And then after the annual analyst review, then there's a decision that's made on your certification. All right. Is there a MySBA certification question?
Yes. So, this person, their business was certified, woman-owned, and veteran-owned while they were in Kansas, but they've been back in Ohio for 3 years. Are they still certified?
Yes. I mean, it's a federal certification. You would just need to update your address. So, as long as as long as this is for the federal government, you would still have an active, yes, registration.
Just need to go into the My SBA portal, update your company information, address,
Hmm.
and go
Definitely
from
do
there.
that in sam.gov too, because the systems talk to each other. So if you have a different sam.gov, like if your sam.gov address is different than what you update in my SBA certifications, that'll confuse it. So try and start with my sam.gov first. I wait for that to update and then go into my SBA certifications.
Thank you, Jill.
Uh, all right. And then the last thing I want to talk about isn't certification related, but I think it's a great tool that I just love educating everyone about. So this used to be called the Dynamic Small Business Search, but it was updated last year. It's now the Small Business Search. This is SBA's portal, so it talks directly to SAM. So when you, as a business, go in and register your business with SAM.gov and you self-certify as small, that self-certification generates a small business search profile. So whether you know you have one or not, you do. If you self-certified as small in sam.gov. And you can just do a Google search of SBA small business search and it'll pop right up. I recommend going in and checking out your profile that you may not have known you have. So the primary information or the majority of the information in your profile here is a result of your sam.gov information. So like your contact information, your UEI, your NAICS codes, your PSC, FSC codes are all in this profile through sam.gov. There is a way to add things to your small business search profile, but it's through your sam.gov registration, believe it or not. Uh, um, and you can meet with your Apex Accelerator for assistance on that. But I do recommend typing in your business name or your UEI in here and checking out your profile. And why this is important is because I talked about market research for you as the small business, but federal agencies also have to conduct market research. And they love using this because they don't have to contact you directly. They can just type in NAICS codes. I mean, they can just type in, well, they can type in business name and then find out a lot more information about you through just this portal without having to contact you directly. SBA controls this. So when your business is certified as woman-owned, 8A, HUBZone, or service disabled veteran-owned, the certification date shows up in here. Pardon me, and it is the authority that SBA has to demonstrate that a company is certified in woman-owned HUBZone or 8A or service disabled veteran-owned. I have agencies that contact me asking if there's some sort of certification that I can provide for businesses that are certified woman-owned. No, there's no certification. They just need to look in the small business search and it'll show if they are or not. So this is especially important for 8A companies that have a finite amount of time that they participate in the program. So this is kept current by SBA and it's used by contracting offices a lot. So if you're not familiar with this portal and you're interested in doing business with the federal government, it makes sense that you become familiar with it. So that is my presentation for today. This is my contact information and my colleague Shonda Harris. She and I work together hand in hand in the 8A program and everything having to do with certification. So reaching out to either one of us will definitely help get your questions answered. All right.
Thank you, Jill. We got a couple more questions here. So somebody started the 8A certification application, and it has a day counter deadline to complete it. Is there a way to like put that on hold or pause it while they go gather information, or is that the basically once you start it, you have so many days to complete it?
I think no, I think it'll just sit in the portal right now. I can take your information and take a look at it. If you email me that Jill, and you don't need the hyphen, jill.nagyreynolds@sba.gov, I can take a look and see. So are you wanting to stop your application at this point? That's and wait for a bit? I guess there's more than, number one, have you completed the application? If you haven't completed it, then I think it'll just sit there. But if you have completed it, then I can check the status of it. And if you're not wanting to be certified right now, I could look into that.
Sounds like they have not completed it.
Okay.
They ran into some issues, but they'll follow up with you via email. So
Okay.
thank you, Jill.
Sounds good. Yep.
And then somebody else here. This was on what you were just showing right before this slide. They just looked up their company how do they go about updating their information? For example, it shows that their contact information is hidden.
That's within your SAM.gov registration. There is a section where you can choose to have your information hidden or not. And I understand wanting to do that because, and I'm glad you asked that because when you make your information public, there is a lot of for-profit companies that will reach out to you and say, hey, we can help you get a GSA schedule or we can help you with this or that. And they just see that you have registered in SAM. So you can always reach out to me or your Apex Accelerator to see if this is from a government source or not. But you can go into your SAM.gov registration, like log in, and there is a section where you can choose to make your information public. And I do recommend doing that because if you don't do it, then contracting offices can't see you either.
Then definitely, yeah, don't forget the next part of that too is then filling out your small business profile
Mhm.
with different keywords because a lot of it will be pulled from your SAM registration, but there's parts that you can customize and help make yourself even more visible to the contracting officers and different individuals doing market research through the SBA's small business search.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Any other questions for Jill or Valerie while we have them? We'll give you a few more minutes to think of any questions. As a reminder, you can find the recordings to these webinars on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website. You can also find more information about the matchmaker itself on that website. And don't forget that the early bird registration will close later this week. So if you've not taken advantage of that yet, please do so.
And this
And
afternoon, we're doing business with the Air Force, aren't we? Is that
I believe
this
so.
afternoon? Okay, so those of you that are interested in doing business with the Air Force, like our webinar training from 1 to 3 is doing business with Air Force Lifecycle Management Center and Air Force Research Lab. So they will be at the Matchmaker on the 22nd. So this is your chance to find out just more detail about how to get involved with the Air Force.
Absolutely. So with that, I'm not seeing any other questions. I definitely want to thank both you ladies for your time today and these wonderful presentations. And Jill, I'll let you close us out.
Thank you. No, I appreciate your time, and usually I'm not on the presenting end, so uh, I I really think that you're hopefully you're all here because you want to do business with the government. We're here to try and make it a little bit easier. We can't give you contracts, but we can give you advice, whether solicited or unsolicited. So, and also we can help you when you get frustrated because it is frustrating. That's one thing we can say. Yep, that sounds like it. But just keep on going. And if you can come to the matchmaker, definitely do it because it's your opportunity not only to meet with federal, state, local government agencies, but also your colleagues, your fellow small businesses. I love to see the synergies happening and conversations going on between small business because you should be teaming partners instead of competitors when it comes to government.
Well, thank you all for your time today, and I hope to see you on this afternoon's webinar. Take care, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you. Have a
you.
great one.